You're sitting there right now, probably a little annoyed that a fly won't leave you alone, or that there's an ant column marching across your kitchen counter like it pays rent there. Every single person watching this has, at some point, wished insects would just disappear. Just for a day, just for an hour. No mosquitoes at the barbecue, no wasps at the picnic, total silence. Be very, very careful what you wish for, because this isn't a thought experiment about being annoyed for an afternoon. This is a question biologists actually study seriously with real models and real data. What literally happens step by step if insects vanished? And the answer is one of the most quietly terrifying things in all of ecology. Let's start with the number, because it's the kind of number that doesn't really compute. There are roughly 10 quintillion insects alive on Earth right now. That's a 10 followed by 18 zeros. For every single human being on the planet, there are approximately 1.4 billion insects. They're on every continent, including Antarctica. They've survived every mass extinction in the last 400 million years, including the one that took out the dinosaurs. Whatever is coming for this planet next, insects have already outlived worse. They're not decoration, they're infrastructure. And like most infrastructure, you only notice it the day it stops working. Thread 1. Your next meal. Roughly a third of everything you eat exists because an insect pollinated it. Apples, almonds, strawberries, avocados, coffee, chocolate, hundreds of crops, all quietly dependent on a bee or beetle or fly showing up on time. They're not doing it for you. They don't even know they're doing it. It's a byproduct of them looking for food. But about 75% of the world's flowering plants and 35% of global food production runs on that accident continuing to happen, day after day, for free. Take that away, and the supermarket doesn't empty tomorrow. It empties in 3 to 5 years. Once the crops already in the ground finish their run and the fields that depend on pollination start producing a fraction of what they used to. We've actually tested the backup plan in parts of China, where wild bee populations collapsed from pesticide overuse. Farmers now pollinate entire orchards by hand with small brushes, flower by flower, tree by tree. It works. It's also insanely slow. A single honeybee colony visits millions of flowers in a single day. No human labor force on Earth is replicating that. Not even close. Thread 2. It doesn't stop at food. Follow the thread upward. 96% of land-based bird species feed insects so that chicks, even species that eat seeds and fruit as adults. No insects, no baby birds, and bird populations wouldn't decline slowly. They'd crash inside a single breeding season. Now follow it into the water. Mayflies, caddisflies, stoneflies, their larvae grow in rivers and streams. Their adults fall back into the water, and that's the base of the food chain for trout, salmon, entire freshwater ecosystems. Pull that out and the fishing industry starts unraveling with it. Bats can eat their own body weight in insects in a single night, keeping mosquito and pest populations in check across entire regions. Reptiles, amphibians, small mammals, all of it sits downstream of the insect layer. Some of it collapses in months. Some of it takes years. None of it survives untouched. Thread 3. The part almost nobody thinks about. What happens to the dead? When something dies in nature, an animal, a fallen tree, a pile of leaves, insects are first on the scene. Beetles fertilize their larvae. They break the material down and return the nutrients to the soil. Without them, dead matter just piles up, and the cycles that keep soil fertile start slowing down. Healthy soil is one of the most productive ecosystems on the planet, and it's the reason anything grows at all. Take the insects out, and soil doesn't collapse dramatically. It just quietly stops working. Thread 4. This isn't hypothetical anymore. Here's where it stops being a what if and starts being current events. In 2017, a study in PLOS One documented something researchers genuinely didn't expect: a 76% decline in flying insect biomass across protected nature reserves in Germany over 27 years. Not a dip, not a bad season, a 3/4 loss in areas specifically set aside to protect wildlife from exactly this. In 2019, a review in Biological Conservation looked at 73 studies of insect populations worldwide. Over 40% of insect species are declining. A third are already endangered, and insects are disappearing at roughly 8 times the rate of mammals, birds, and reptiles combined. Now here's where the story gets genuinely uncomfortable, because it's not just habitat loss and climate change doing this. A huge part of the debate centers on a class of pesticides called neonicotinoids, and the fight over them looks a lot more familiar than you'd expect. Some of the earliest field studies clearing neonicotinoids of blame were funded directly by the two companies that manufacture most of them, Bayer and Syngenta. Independent researchers ran their own versions of the same experiments and got different results: harm to bumblebees and wild bees, even when honeybee colonies in some regions looked fine. One biologist summed up the whole mess perfectly. We learn again. It's complicated. The European Union didn't wait for the argument to fully settle. They banned the 3 worst offenders outdoors in 2018 anyway. This isn't a clean villain story. It's messier than that: funded studies against independent studies. Real uncertainty against real urgency. But the pattern, industry-funded research reaching friendlier conclusions than independent research, is one you've heard before in a completely different context. And it should make you at least a little suspicious every time. Thread 5. The part where humans already need insects on purpose, not by accident. Here's something that rarely comes up. You've probably eaten a red candy, a red lipstick, or a red drink that got its color from crushed cochineal insects. A practice going back to the Aztec and Maya empires, still used in food coloring today. Silk exists because of a domesticated moth caterpillar that humans have been farming for over 5,000 years. And right now, according to the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization, roughly 2 billion people worldwide regularly eat insects as an actual dietary staple, not a novelty, across more than 1,900 documented edible species in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. In large parts of the world, insects were never the enemy. They were dinner. So while some cultures were building bug spray, other cultures were building recipes. And weirdly, the recipe cultures might be looking less strange with every decade that passes. Because as this crisis accelerates, insect protein keeps getting floated as one of the only scalable answers to feeding a planet that's running out of farmland. So here's the full collapse, stacked end to end. Pull the insects out, and food production fractures within years. Birds crash within a season. Fish and everything that eats them follow. Soil quietly stops regenerating. And the entire time, the causes driving this habitat loss, pesticides, light pollution, climate change, keep compounding each other in the background while most people never notice, because insects are small and they don't get funerals. There is a version of this that ends better. Not every insect is declining. Some generalist species are actually thriving in the mess humans have created. The species doing the most critical work are the ones disappearing fastest. And that's the real emergency, not extinction across the board, but the loss of the specific species holding entire systems together. And recovery is documented and real. Restore habitat, cut pesticide use, manage artificial light, and some populations bounce back faster than expected. The situation is serious. It's not settled yet. And which version of this story we end up living in depends on decisions being made right now, mostly by people who will never see a bee up close and don't think they need to. So go back to that morning you were imagining. No buzzing, no crawling, no wings catching the light by the porch lamp. What would feel, for about a week, like a strange kind of peace, would actually be the sound of something enormous starting to fail, quietly, from the bottom up, in the one layer of the world too small for most people to ever look at directly. We share this planet with 10 quintillion insects, every one of them too small to matter to you individually. All of them together, the reason you get to eat breakfast tomorrow.